On a more personal level, thanks to my family and friends who've come to Evansville to share this moment with Sharon and me. Especially to my mother-in-law, Dorothy Lippett, whom we affectionately call Dottie, who has always been an inspiration to me to treat all people with love and respect. And thanks especially to her for raising the love of my life, who helps to keep me both inspired and centered. To my daughter Nicole and son Jeff, I'm so glad that you're here to share this moment with your mom and dad. We are very proud of you and what you have made and continue to make of your lives. To my sister Debbie, here with several of her sons, happy birthday. Actually, her birthday was 3 days ago, but how often does one get such a public opportunity to wish one's sister a happy birthday? And to my friends from Davidson, Sewanee, and Furman, thanks not only for being here, but also for your steadfast support. There are trade-offs to moving from place to place in one's life, but one's supreme benefit is the chance to make many friends in many different places. I owe such a tremendous debt to you, former students, faculty friends, administrative colleagues, a debt that I can never fully repay. Words simply don't have the power to express to you how much I am moved by your supportive presence here on this day bright with meaning and potential. I'm sure you have limited patience for long-winded speakers, which I share, so I'll be concise. Indeed, just this week I was talking with one of our students, Christina Schmidgall, a swimmer who spoke at the Student Athletes Academic Honors Breakfast. This breakfast recognizes student athletes in the past academic year who've earned in at least one semester in the previous year a grade point average of greater than 3.5. About half of our student athletes have achieved this distinction. In any event, as Christina and I discussed how long a good presentation should be, she told me that speeches were like skirts. They should be long enough to cover all of the important parts, but short enough to keep it interesting. Though I'm humbled by the words of support I've heard all week, indeed since I first arrived at Evansville a little more than 4 months ago, today's celebration is not at its core about the arrival of a new president. Rather, it is a celebration of the University of Evansville, what we are, what we stand for, and what we can be. The activities of this week have underscored profoundly the richness of this university. Among the many events of the Inauguration Week that began last Sunday, our community was treated to the remarkable talents of its theater and music students and faculty, to the entrepreneurial talents of our business students, to the academic achievements of our student athletes, to the scholarly accomplishments of our students and faculty, and to the delights of our British campus at Harlexton. It seems especially important to recognize these achievements on Family Weekend. Welcome to all of those parents, grandparents, relatives, and friends of the family who have made it possible for our students to take advantage of the many assets of the university. We're thrilled that you're here to share this moment in UE's life. So what is it about the University of Evansville that makes it such a hothouse for talented students and dedicated faculty? In his classic song, All Along the Watchtower, Bob Dylan writes, "All I've got is a red guitar, 3 chords, and the truth." With apologies to Mr. Dylan, I suppose that I could say that all I've got is a microphone, 3 fundamental principles, and a truth about the University of Evansville. My argument is straightforward. There is no better place in the world to get an education than at an institution like the University of Evansville. Bear with me as I take a few moments to explain why I think that's true. In your programs, you've seen a statement that attempts to capture what is essential about UE. That statement is built around 3 claims. First, that the best education is one built on a liberal arts foundation. Second, that a program affording exploration of and preparation for professional careers gives students a richer set of learning opportunities than is possible at other types of colleges and universities. And third, that these learning opportunities must be grounded in an institutional context that foregrounds global awareness and engagement. Why is it so important to be committed to the liberal arts? Let me begin by noting that liberal arts and liberal education are intriguing terms in at least one key respect. Though educators use such terms freely and frequently, students and parents often have little understanding of what they actually mean. I'll not subject you to an exhaustive discourse on the history of such terms, such as their origins in classical antiquity in the quadrivium, which included arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and music, and the trivium of grammar, logic, and rhetoric, except to say that the timelessness of the concept tells us something about its value. But we do need to recognize the central claim and character of liberal education. An educated person, a person ready to embrace the challenges of life, a person who has the capacity to continue to learn throughout his or her life, must be broadly educated. This breadth is manifest in exposure to the humanities, to the arts, and to the social and natural sciences. These footings pour deep into the intellectual soil of a student's program of study, create a solid foundation for the programmatic depth that is also a part of our academic requirements. One chooses a major and studies a set of relevant topics in a concentrated and coordinated way. It is this synergy between breadth and depth that is the magic of liberal education. As stated in a recent report of the Association of American Colleges and Universities, liberal education develops strong and transferable intellectual and practical skills, in particular, skills in writing, oral communication, and critical thinking. Such an education is well suited to the development of the whole person, for an understanding of oneself and others, and for nurturing a democratic temperament. Azar Nafizi, author of the highly regarded Reading Lolita in Tehran, and a professor at the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies, and a recent visitor to UE's campus, says it well. The reason that we need the liberal arts is clear. We need them like we need our hands and our blood to live. The liberal arts are about life and thinking and imagining and recreating. In every culture, people need meaning and vision in order to feel and to live. Or as Christopher Nelson, president of St. John's College, writes, liberal learning is a continual rediscovery and deeper understanding of our reason for being. We are, in other words, encouraging learning for learning's own sake, stimulating intellectual curiosity, fostering engagement with new ideas, and critically examining received truths. Michael Roth, president of Wesleyan University, notes that liberal education develops habits of the mind that thrive on ambiguity and that foster combinations of focus and flexibility, criticism and courage. And at UE, we're not afraid to pose questions of values, faith, and ethics. Our long relationship with the United Methodist Church not only enriches our institutional identity and heritage, but invites reflection on the ultimate questions all of us face in our lives. But the less acknowledged, or at least less well-known, secret of liberal education is that it is eminently practical. Wesleyan's Ross calls this the deep contemporary practicality of a liberal education. Patient and persistent critical inquiry, he argues, have never been more crucial. And the development of this capacity is one of the defining features of a liberal education. By learning how to learn, one makes one's education last a lifetime. What could be more practical? Students should develop the ability to continue learning so that they become agents of change and not victims of it. Employers certainly know this. The same AAC&U study I mentioned a moment ago a moment ago, asked employers what skills they thought college and universities should emphasize in their preparation of students. Almost 90% of employers said that colleges should place more emphasis on preparing students to effectively communicate orally and in writing. And more than 4/5 of the employers emphasized critical thinking and analytical reasoning skills and having the ability to apply knowledge and skills to real-world settings through internships or other hands-on experiences. This is true in any economy, but especially so in the context of the turbulence and anxiety of the last few years. I've heard some folks make a claim that I think is simply wrong. A comprehensive education with roots as deep in the humanities and arts as in the natural sciences and social sciences, they say, is nice, but is a luxury one cannot afford in this economy. It is critical, their argument goes, that higher education must focus primarily on the development of job-specific skills and less on disciplines that have no direct economic or career benefit. In truth, the opposite is true. That is, it is precisely in this kind of economy that the intellectual dexterity and agility that are the products of a liberal education have the greatest value. Perhaps the most distinctive characteristic of our times, especially in a vocational sense, is that our confidence that we know what the marketplace has in store for us has been severely shaken. Moreover, when our students begin their post-college careers, they may soon discover that the changing economic landscape necessitates that they develop new or corollary skills. In such an environment, it is the aptitude for adaptation that matters. And an education at the University of Evansville well prepares one for this sort of vocational and professional reinvention. I like the way Kristen Fossum, a dean at Pomona College, succinctly summarizes this argument. Liberal arts institutions, she concludes, must take an active role in convincing students and parents that pursuing a liberal education will enrich them as people without compromising them as job seekers. One who has been toiling in the vineyards of public policy and education for much of his professional life puts his own gloss on this fundamental truth. Richard Riley is the former two-term governor of South Carolina and U.S. Secretary of Education for 8 years, and someone who became a good friend during my time in South Carolina. Secretary Riley, in his characteristically straightforward way, says, "We are currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies that haven't been invented in order to solve problems that we don't even know are problems yet." Of course, if you said the UE experience begins and ends with its commitment to liberal education, you'd be only half right. It begins there, to be sure, but it is the rich array of options our students can consider that contributes significantly to the distinctive character of learning at this place. And let me be clear about this argument. The impressive variety of pre-professional and professional opportunities from which our students may choose is not incidental to the liberal arts foundation of our curriculum. It is, in fact, precisely this marriage, this synergy between liberal education and career preparation that represents one of UE's great and most enduring values. At the University of Evansville, students may choose to study to become nurses or teachers or engineers or business persons, or to pursue careers fueled by study in the more traditional liberal arts disciplines. Whatever their career or professional trajectory, however, they'll have exposure to a body of knowledge and expectations for intellectual development shared by all of our students. What must be recognized is that this educational experience enables one to more fully realize one's own potential in many and varying occupational or professional roles. The small business owner is better prepared to face the challenges of the marketplace equipped with the skills cultivated at UE. Indeed, Mary Godwin of Babson College argues that one's ability to recognize economic opportunities is increased by education in an institution such as ours. Entrepreneurship, she writes, is a tangible, practical manifestation of a liberal arts sensibility.